funny, but a little bit private story to tell you about this. So that's my recommendation. Yes, this place is a very central place, because if we look to this fort, where there's a museum site, this was the house of the chieftain in the fort. He lived there, together with his family that had the closest houses here and his closest men that fought for him. But beside them, there were no soldiers here during the Iron Age. All the people that defended the fort was peasants, and it was their own responsibility to protect family. And this is how it was. The only places that really had soldiers, that was the Roman Empire. And the chieftain, he had a lot of trade relations with the Roman Empire. For example, they traded leather because the Romans, they were fighting a lot, and their economy was based on expanding, taking over new areas, bringing home more slaves. And of course they wore out a lot of shoes like these. You see, I had these for one season and they were already broken. So, Ölandic people, they could deliver. Leather was something they really could deliver, because these Alvar plains around here is perfect grazing lands, and they had a lot of animals around here. So this was easy for them. And in return, they wanted the Roman luxury goods. For example, glass. The early Ölandic people, they drank from these. It's a kind of a cup called kåsa. It's kind of cute, but whatever I drink from this really doesn't matter. It makes no difference if I have water or wine or beer or poison or whatever, dirt. Everything just looks brown, you know? So you have no idea what you are drinking. So imagine the pride when you for the first time come home with this glass, which you can see sunshine through. A very beautiful item. It's a symbol of respect in the society. But of course, they also traded some more useful goods, like this one, for example. It's a kind of a tweezer. It was used for medical care. If you are outside fighting, when you're waging war, you might get a big wound, a sword that has cut up your arm like this, you know. So you take this tweezer, put it around the wound, put down the ring, and there, you have it on its place now. So it's very easy for you to sew it up. And if it's a big wound, you can have a lot of these tweezers around your whole arm. Fresh, yeah? Oh yeah, another good find that we had here from Öland at least. Different places in Öland you can find these. Oh, I hope I have it. Oh yeah. Here, it's very small. It's a coin called solidus. It's a Roman coin which they gave to their soldiers. And the Romans were famous for bribing Germanic tribes to fight against other Germanic tribes. Yeah. For example, maybe they forced people from Öland to fight people from Holland, you know? That is what they did. And we know that Ölandic people, they were fighting in the Roman army. Otherwise we wouldn't see these coins all over the island. You said that you get paid in a sold because of the coin that is called solidus. And that is also why we in Sweden say that you are a soldat. And in England we say you are a soldier. And I think in German it's soldat, and in Norwegian, what is it? Soldat, so Dutch, soldat. Probably we were all fighting in the Roman army once, you know, our ancestors. And that is how we got the word soldier. Quite interesting. Okay, let us make actually, let us move inside the times of medieval Eketorp. We will leave this place behind us and go 500 years into the future. So we are using corn that we are germinating and then putting some other ingredients to it, trying to make the sugar inside become alcohol. They drank beer because water has to stay fresh, which it won't do for a long time. And that is why beer is better. And children, they have to drink sour milk during the Iron Age. Okay, now let us go to the medieval times and Eketorp 3. And this will be our last stop.
So I bid thee welcome to Eketorp 3 in medieval Sweden. The year's 1170 and the times are disturbing. You see, there's a war going on between two of the biggest families here. The Sverker family and the Erik family. We have a big pressure on us. Yes, I think Norway was faithful to the Erik family during this time. They were allies, yes. Of course we had big troubles with the Danish people during this time, because they're already a united country and it's very dangerous for them to live so close and be united and everything. So it is time to fight who will have the Swedish crown. Eketorp is loyal to the family of Sverker under the east of Sweden, under Linköping Church. And yes, they are on the losing side. They will not rule this kingdom. And that is why Eketorp is only used for 70 years, this medieval time. Behind me we have this house which is belonging to the commandant. He's the one in charge of every decision here. As you can see, his door is really small, yeah? That doesn't mean he's at war for a short man. The only reason why the door is so small is because they're building in wood. They are so scared of a fire, of course they can no longer cook inside these houses. It's too dangerous. Instead, to heat them up, they have hot rocks and the glowing wood coal in plates that are hanging from the roof. And then they have to keep all the windows and all the doors as small as possible to keep the heat inside. And probably they are having them closed as much as possible during winter times. There are only one single fire burning in this place, and that is in the central kitchen that is probably close to here. There's one fire that is always guarded day and night, and all the food in the whole fort was made just there. That is a little bit strange if you compare it to the old Iron Age fort, where people were peasants and living here taking care of themselves. But this was not a peasant village at all. This was a medieval garrison. They were really waging for war here. So if we look outside the wall, we had these finds of 6 smithies. These smithies were placed outside because they didn't want the fires to spread, of course, inside. And the capacity of these 6 smithies were far more than what would be normal for a place of this size. So apparently they were waging for war. And what we found were a lot of details from horses, but also weapons. For example, this is a small one, and we found a lot of. I don't know your language name for this, but in English it's called kaltrop, and in Swedish it's called fotangel, something like a foot angle. It's very easy to make these. You just need a little iron, and you need to make 4 sharp points. However I throw this, I can promise you I will always get 1 point to slide up. I don't even have to try. Yeah. So, if I will put down my foot on this without seeing it, it will go straight through my foot. On top of that, you will hide these in horse poo. You throw these out around the wall, and when you stomp in them, you will get a wound and you will get horse poo in it. When you get that, you will get an infection and you will die in just a couple of hours. So a footman can actually sleep, an eternal sleep, before he draws a sword the first time, which is horribly affected, actually. Other than that, this garrison is built like a medieval city. You can see there's flat-laid stones here in a very small alley. It goes to an open center behind you. You have to imagine that the Iron Age houses over there are not there. Instead it's an open area where there in a medieval city would be a church, for example. In this case there was no church because it was not a city. People didn't really take care of themselves as before. They weren't handling animals in the same way. Instead they were using trade a lot to get their goods and wares they needed. For example, we have found lots of heads, fish heads here, but not the body. So probably they were shipping away the bodies in big packages to other places of Sweden for survival remains. We have some other finds from medieval Eketorp. For example, this bone. It has been used for something quite strange. It's actually an ice skating bone. So you put it on the foot like this, and then you go skating on the swamp that's over there during winter time. In that way you can go to the ocean if you go east with these. Probably completely dangerous, but they did that. Well, during 1240 they abandoned this fort for the last time. The war is over, the Szwecja family has lost, and there are now two modern defense arrangements. One is Kalmar Castle, which is a modern place for defense, as well as Borgholm Castle. Eketorp is now a little off, so they don't need it anymore. The trade route, which before was around Öland, is changed and is now through Kalmarsund, which is between the mainland and Öland. So it has actually been abandoned since this time until the 1980s, when they started to rebuild and using this for tourist activities. And well, it's nice to see, because right now it's more alive than ever, and we have rebuilt this eastern part is a medieval construction and the western part is an Iron Age construction. So two different feelings, two different forts. So with these words I want to thank you for following me on this guide tour, and I hope it was very pleasant. Thank you.
Thank you.